Just by your answer, sweetie, I can tell you go, this is classic. Yeah, right, whatever. Here's what is on your mind. I'm a big, arrogant, big mouth fucking asshole, right? And you want to destroy that any way you can.
All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. Got another like Zoom style show this week. Another really cool person. It's kind of a different episode because this person knows me from a long time ago. So I want to introduce everyone to Morgan Sides from Kinetic Forge Productions. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much for having me, man. I appreciate it. I know it's been a long time coming, so I'm happy to finally be here.
Thanks for coming on, dude. I normally don't mess up the intros, so that's how you know I'm kind of nervous. This is a big one.
Hey, man, with going back to middle school and where we met, you know, I've seen you a little bit through the years, but yeah, I was a little bit nervous too.
But yeah, dude. Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. Usually the guests I bring on, it's like they're similar to you. You know, they have a lot of cool stuff going on. They got a lot of like cool stuff you can click on and go check out. They're like a busy person usually. But yeah, this is a weird one because you could like call me out on stuff from way back in the day, maybe. You could be like, hey, dude, I remember when you were a freaking dork, you know?
Hey, I actually, the way I remembered it was kind of the opposite of that. I remember in middle school, you were one of the cooler kids, I think.
Really?
I think you commanded respect in middle school.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah.
That's what I remember.
I don't remember it that way. I remember you being a real popular kid, and I felt like lucky to be like, oh, I know this guy. Like everybody knows this kid, and I know him too. Like during science class, he's my boy.
I remember science class. It's interesting because when I think back to those days too, like I don't remember it that way. Like having a lot of friends or being in all these different groups of people. I just wanted to be friends with everybody. You know,
yeah. You're just like super likable, and like I always remember you being kind of like a mature kid. Like we used to talk about like gangster movies and shit. We used to talk about like Scarface and Casino.
Scarface, that was it, man.
Yeah.
I remember that. So I have a twin brother, Eric, who I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, he's in my notes.
And you know, I know he really resonated for whatever reason. Scarface really resonated with him. And I remember in middle school there was a time where we were all kind of into those gangster movies, and Scarface was a big one. And I remember Eric had this phase where he would kind of dress and act like somebody from Goodfellas or from Scarface. He started wearing like the button-up shirts and like crossing his arms when he would stand. And I remember you guys got pretty close too.
Yeah, over that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember him. I was going to bring him up in my notes because I remember one time we were all hanging out like outside of school and we had like some boxing gloves. And I remember we were all like pairing up and your fucking brother comes out the house and I'm like, okay, I'll line up with this guy. And he started getting like the better of me. I remember he was like going to the body and punching me in the stomach. And I was like, what the fuck, man? Who's this guy? Like, I remember he was more unassuming. Like, I didn't think he was going to do much to me. But he was fast as fuck. And he had like some technique to him.
I remember, I forgot. I can actually, now that it's funny you bring that up because I completely forgot about the boxing that we used to do when we grabbed the gloves. And that it's funny, it ties into kind of my life now. But Eric was always really quiet. Like he was the quieter of the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he always had friends, but he didn't make as many friends as easily as I did. So the friends he would make, he got really tight with.
Yeah.
And me and Eric have put on the boxing gloves a few times too.
Yeah.
Like just the two of us. We've had our squabbles.
Yeah, fuck yeah. As brothers, that's fucking for sure. That's gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we've had a few different fights. Some without gloves, some with gloves.
How's he doing now? What's he up to now?
He's doing well, man. So he just got married. He had his first son.
Nice. Shout out to that. Congrats, dude.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll watch this episode and he'll be excited to hear that from you. Yeah, he still lives on the north side, not far from kind of where we grew up.
Badass.
Just a few miles away from the folks, and he's doing really well with his wife and with his son. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Good to hear. That's badass. Since we're there, I've got other guys I got listed on. One of the dudes, um, I don't know if you remember him. I know you remember him. I still hit him up on Instagram and stuff. Tyler Sargent.
Oh, Tyler, man.
Remember
Yeah.
that guy?
Yeah, actually, I remember that guy. We actually connected on Instagram again. So funny thing, uh, probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe it was sooner than that, but I was living in a townhouse on the north side, and he actually lived in the same complex as me. And one night I'm taking out the trash and I run into him. It's just like, what? He looks exactly the same. I mean,
Big
he's
ass
covered in
beard though.
tattoos now, big
Yeah,
ass beard, tattoos, but I knew it was him right away. And we spent a while talking. That guy has had a pretty crazy life too. I know he did music for a long time.
yeah. I remember
He
he was
does
in a
photography
band.
now too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does like product photography, like stylized
Oh, I
like
think I might have known
perfumes.
that. Yeah, I think I might
Yeah.
have known that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that guy was always really funny. The first dude I ever seen with an iPod. I
Yep.
almost said iPad, but it was like an iPod, the first little
The
weebly
OG
one.
iPod. Yep.
I remember he had that. He had a cool drum set in his room or whatever. And I remember every time I went over there, we would like play on the computer, like we would surf the internet and stuff. Like he would show us internet shit.
That's funny because that's the core memories I have with Tyler are the same things. Going over to his house, staying the night over there because his parents would let us stay up till whenever we wanted. And
Badass.
we would he would play drums. We'd sit on that computer looking at rotten.com,
Yeah, it was shit like that.
like shit like that. Just
Yeah,
stuff that
meatandcheese.com.
yeah, stuff we shouldn't have been looking
Yeah.
at whatever 13, 14 years old.
Yeah. And then we can kind
But
of blow up his spot now. It's years later, but
that's right. Yeah.
he was
No,
showing me crazy shit.
he was
Who
showing
else
me
do you
crazy
remember from
shit.
back then? Shout out to Tyler Sargent. That guy was really
Shout
funny.
out
And he taught me how to gleek.
the gleeking, bro. He was the best at it,
Wasn't he a
actually.
master?
He was a master at it. That guy could send one probably 3 or 4 feet sometimes
Yeah.
and maintain it for
Oh
15,
yeah.
20 seconds.
Yeah, that was true. That was true.
It's
He had command of like turning it on and off even.
he did. It was like a little hose was in his mouth. It was like a fucking magic trick. I couldn't believe
Yeah,
it.
that guy was insane. I love that dude. And he was like one of the ones that always sticks out when I think of a memory from that time. It's like that dude was always making me laugh.
Because we all kind of grew up on that on the and on North Phoenix. There was like from Deer Valley Middle School, we all kind of had there was a group that we all kind of rotated through. You had Adam on, obviously. Adams goes
Adam
way
Stewart.
back with us too. Adam Stewart
Yeah.
goes way back.
Shout out to that guy.
Shout out to Adam. I still train with Adam all the time. He goes to the same boxing gym that I go to, so I spar with him and train with him quite a bit. He's still a really big part of my life. Actually, and it's funny because actually I'll be getting married in it's gonna be I think it's 8 days now. So
Oh
next weekend.
shit, man. Nice. Congratulations, dude.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's coming up super fast, but Adam's gonna be there. He's gonna be at the wedding.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
so he's still super kind of involved in my life in a lot of ways. He's Adam's grown a ton. Like that guy, I remember when we were in middle school, that dude would scrap with anybody.
Yeah.
He was one of the
Yeah.
biggest kids in school. You like didn't
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
mess with Adam Stewart.
Yeah. I remember him and his brother were like, you just don't even want to look over there too long or whatever. He was cool with us, but his brother, I didn't know him as well. So I'm like, when they're together, I'm just gonna leave him alone. Like I'm saying, I would catch
Yeah,
guys like
yeah,
in certain periods, certain times, and it's like they're my boy. And then if they're in that other group, I'm just gonna let them rock over there. Like they're the
yeah.
bully kids. I'm gonna leave them alone today.
The bully kids. That's funny because
Yeah.
that was like that was Justin Bales, Adam Stewart. There was a few other ones, and they were like the tough kids. Remember that? They would
Yeah.
like roll on BMX bikes and they would fight with anybody. They were our friends too, which was cool. But when they were like off doing their own thing, yeah, you'd be like, cool. Like you
Yeah.
guys
It's
are
like
homies,
it's
but
to kind of separate the boys from the men right there. You're like, oh, I'm not really allowed to ride my bike all the way across the city and get into shit like that. I can't. I gotta go home and check in. I'm sorry, guys.
dude, I had one wild story with Adam. It was probably it was middle school, and it was one of those instances where he was like, "Hey, just let's. I got a BMX bike you can borrow. Um, let's just go riding all day." I think it was like a Saturday. And that dude took me probably from North Phoenix to like downtown. And it was the first time I'd ever smoked a cigarette, right? Like that dude took me to a Circle K, pulled two refries out of the ashtray and like burnt the filters to sanitize them. And then we smoked Marlboro Reds in the back of the Circle K. Like
Dude's
that's
always been a health nut. He's like, sanitize the back. He's always been a healthy dude still.
Dude, even back then, sanitize the filter. We don't want to go at this crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
make sure
we're
the
not
filter's
crazy
clean.
kids. We're just adventurous. No, yeah, I remember
Yeah,
they would take off and just be everywhere. They would go everywhere on
yeah.
those bikes.
They would go everywhere, and you would hear stories about them all the time. Stuff they were getting into.
Mhm.
Do you remember something we called a Frito-Lay run?
No.
So down the street from Deer Valley Middle School, there was a famous like Frito-Lay factory.
Okay.
That made all
Yeah.
the chips and
It's like their
grandma's
distribution
smoothies.
center.
It was like their distribution center. And so Adam and his boys, what they would get into on like a Friday, Saturday night. Do you remember AMC 30?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
movie theater is right there that everybody would go on a Friday night because we had
Hey, just real
nothing
quick, AMC
cooler.
30, side story. Danny Digger got a girl to show us her boobs one time there.
Did he really?
Yeah. He talked some girl into just show us your boobs real quick. And she's like, no, no, no. And he was like, we'll just go back there. And it was like whoever wanted to go. And she's like, here, and just showed us her boobs. It was fucking Danny Digger.
That sounds so much like Danny and a story that I would remember from him.
So
That
good.
it's unreal, unbelievable. I actually connected with Danny again not that long ago too. He's doing well as far as I know.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But we would meet up at AMC 30. I remember you had obviously your booze story. I fought somebody there at one point. It was actually I fought Mike LeBay there.
Oh,
One night.
nice.
Michael LeBay.
Nice. Nice pool. That's a mythic pool right there.
That's a
Mikey
really cool.
LeBay, dude.
Mikey LeBay. Um, he was in
And
a
his
movie
older brother.
theater.
What was his older brother? Terry or something?
I think it was Terry LeBay. I think it
Terry.
was.
He
Yep,
always seemed
it
like he was too
Terry.
old to be in school still. I'm like, dude, how old is this fucking guy? Anyway, you fought Mike LeBay there?
I fought Mike LeBay in front of AMC 30 after I don't know. Maybe it was all Teen Wolf or something. I don't know what was playing back then. Um, but he was sitting behind me in the movie theater, and I think he leaned over the seat and said I was gay or something like that.
Yo,
I
back
think he
then that wouldn't
whispered.
fly.
I think it might have been the other word. I'm not going to say it, but I think he said something else. But he like said that in my ear over the seat, and then we both stood up, went outside, and got down in front of probably 10 other people from Deer Valley. That's how that went. I don't remember. I think I want to say I kicked his ass, but Mike would probably say something else.
Right. Plus, you
I'm
guys
gonna
were
guess
kids, so like, how much
we
damage
were
did you guys
kids.
do to each other, really?
We're just like windmill arms.
Yeah, it was a lot of ego bruising more than anything.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. But
Oh yeah.
AM,
Before we get off the old friends run, I have to.
yeah.
I got to do a honorable mention, Sonny Caleri.
Oh, Sonny, man. So Sonny, and I remember you and Sonny were tight
I was gonna say,
for a
Sonny was
lot
my
of
dog
years.
since like third grade, and then you guys
Yeah,
kidnapped him and went skating and all this other shit.
we did,
But that was
man.
my
You and
dog
Sonny.
from young times.
Wait, wasn't it what grade school did you guys go to together?
We went to Village Meadows.
Village Meadows. That's what it was. Yep. And you, him, and actually his brother Anthony, I'm so close with. Anthony
Nice.
Cleary, I still hang out with every once in a while. So he's actually a
Is that the
patched
dude?
member.
Is he the one that drove that CRX when we were little?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
He
he was
drove
a
that
cool older
a
brother
red
guy.
CRX. I think
Yeah,
it was a
pull up in
red
a
CRX.
CRX. Sick.
He was the cool older brother for sure. And now he's a patched member of the Hangman, the motorcycle club out here in northern Arizona. Yeah.
Oh, sick.
So we ride Harleys together occasionally. We'll meet up. Um, he invited me. I'll have to remind me to tell you the crazy story about riding with the Hangman because I rode with them one day and it was an insane experience.
Okay, we'll put a
Um,
pin in that.
but he's doing well too. So, but Sonny, I haven't seen him for a few years, but I know I actually shot photos of his wedding. So he
Oh,
hired
cool.
me to he hired me to shoot his wedding. And as far as I know, him and his wife are still doing really well.
Badass. Shout out to Sonny
Really
Kaleri. That
cool.
was my
Shout
dog.
out to Sonny. Yeah, he's a
I
cool dude.
remember him a lot in middle school too. We had like classes and stuff. And we would talk a lot. I remember him wearing like a little green shirt with the stripe down the side, the middle like this.
Dude, he
He looked like a
always
little
wore that
innocent
shirt.
kid, but he was a fucking savage.
He was a savage. I think Sonny was one of those kids too that was very unassuming, but if you got in trouble or you were gonna throw down with somebody at school, then he was gonna be right there.
Yeah.
Like no
He
questions
was he was
asked.
super down, dude.
Yeah, he was absolutely down to do whatever. And that continued, I think, well into high school too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
shout out to that, you know. And speaking about, speaking of being down and fighting and all that stuff, and the guys you used to know, you still train with Adam and you still train with a bunch of cool dudes over at your thing. Talk to me about your fight training. What made you start wanting to do that? And like you're there all the time, right? You're really doing it.
Yeah, so I've always had an interest in boxing. Grew up watching boxing a lot, and then that turned into UFC. Still a big fan of the UFC. And man, honestly, it was through my high school and then into my 20s. Like I'd had a few scraps growing up, but I never took it seriously. Um, I think like a lot of people, I got into my 30s, got a little bit comfortable and out of shape. Um, was in a bad relationship for a lot of years and gained a bunch of weight, just got unhealthy and out of shape. And then I moved into like my mid 30s, and I'd always wanted to take a fight. I saw Adam Stewart fight a bunch of times. I shot a bunch of his boxing matches for him, and I always wanted to do it. I just, for whatever reason, was hesitant to get in front of a bunch of people and box like that.
Yeah. I mean,
So over the last,
that's not an easy thing to do.
no, no, it's not, man. I've seen Adam. It's like the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, right? Like it's that risk you take. You never know what outcome you're going to get. And as hard as you can. Um, and I'm sure Adam talks about that too. Like that dude, I see him train all the time. There's not many people that train harder than him. And he's got a great record, but he still had nights that weren't, didn't go his way.
Yeah.
So all of that to say that that was something that inspired me, and shooting, being a photographer under the ropes and watching him fight and be that close really inspired me. So over the last about 18 months or so, I decided to dedicate time specifically to boxing and get myself in really good shape. Um, I'm hoping it'll still be this year, but the goal at the end of the day was to at least have one professional fight, at
Man,
least
that's
one.
sick. That's so sick.
And I've already got, people that are invested in training me and interested in coming to the fight. So right now it's just kind of figuring out um, with an 0-0 record, a promotion that'll let me get on the card with another new fighter.
Yeah.
I can definitely go the route of taking some amateur fights first, but at my age, it would probably take too much time. So I just want to get in the ring once, see what that feels like, and have my 1-0 record, because I'll take the win, 1-0 record on BoxRec, which is the boxing record keeper
Yeah.
website where Mike Tyson, everybody's on there. Even if I'm at the very bottom of the list with 1-0, that's fine with me.
You're like, just scroll all the way down until the fucking
Just scroll
page
all
is
the way
done.
down. That's fine. But I'm on the
Boom, I did it.
same website as Mike Tyson and all those guys. I'm there.
That's
Right?
sick.
I'm at least there on the wall.
That's a cool goal to try to reach, and super realistic too. You're not saying too much. You're like, I just want to say I did it for myself, and like I'm
For sure.
on the board. That's dope, dude. So I mean, what's the steps you would take? You gotta just find a place that is interested in like amateurs. Like
Yeah, so
what's the move? You gotta beg or you gotta pay? What the fuck?
I mean, there's a chance that I might have to pay them to be on a card. It more than likely it would just be it would be on an undercard, and I probably wouldn't be paid, which is fine. To just
Okay,
get the
yeah,
experience.
that's fine.
They probably have me as like, you know, they use guys with 0-0 records as kind of an undercard attraction, or just for them to get some experience. So the main part of the crowd wouldn't probably even be there yet. But
Yeah,
there's some fight leagues in Arizona that are interesting that will allow you to apply and look to set up matches for you. There's also another promotion called Rough and Rowdy, which comes to Arizona, and Rough and
I've heard of
Rowdy
that.
it's run by the guy that runs the big sports website. I forget his name.
I think
Big
it's
media guy, the
the
pizza guy,
Barstool, the
Barstool
Barstool.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
dude.
The Rough and
He's
Rowdies are
always
funny because they get like mid-looking chicks to be the ring girls, and then they make fun of them, the announcers, but they don't
they
have any
do.
clue. The announcers are roasting them. It's like, this is fucked up, but they
They
don't
have
take
no
anything.
idea.
It's so funny. Yeah, that'd be
And
cool if you're on there.
dude, I mean, they probably get more eyeballs than something like Apex Fight League is here in Arizona, which I'm looking at. But Rough and Rowdy, even though the fighters are usually pretty trash, um, it gets a ton of eyeballs, so it'd be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
And it's
I
still
like
a
the one. Have you
professional
seen the
fight.
one where they get people from like different states to beef with each other? It's kind of
Is
like
that
the Rough and Rowdy.
is that Street Beefs?
It's like even more low level than that. It's like on Instagram only, and it's like
No, I
it's
haven't seen
just
that
dudes
one.
from like Alabama versus whatever, but they're not trained at all. But like it would be fucking even unfair if you went up there because these dudes are just like construction workers getting off work. It's so funny.
Some of those dudes are real tough, though. Some of those
Yeah,
guys are. I mean, I think with about 18 months, like it would be a little bit unfair for them. I at least, and I don't claim to be a high level boxer at all, but after over a year of training, like I could hold my own, I think.
yeah.
For
And
sure.
like you were saying, you train with some good guys. Shout out some of the people you train with.
Yeah, absolutely. So I train out of a gym right now called Elite U that's in Scottsdale. That's run by a good friend of mine. His name is Dan Moret, Dan Hitman Moret. So he's been in the UFC, Bellator. That guy's been a pro for
Super
so
legit.
many years. Super legit. That
Yeah,
guy, and every day. So right now he's got his own gym there at Elite U, and he runs basically a men's training group 5 days a week. They go through boxing, clinch work, MMA, everything in the kind of combat spectrum Dan does over there at Elite U. So train with him quite a bit. My friend Tony, Adam, there's probably, I would say there's probably 20, 25 solid dudes that are, a lot of them are pros or amateurs and athletes that train there. It's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I noticed you shout them out sometimes on Instagram, and you talk about like how important it is that they're always there, and you guys kind of keep each other accountable and shit like that. Like it's like a
Yeah, it's
tight
cool,
knit
man.
group. Yeah.
Have you come in and hit the bag?
Nah, dude. Maybe when no one's there.
Hey, man, there's light days, man. You can just come in and
Like,
just
hey,
get a
everyone
workout
go
in for
home
yourself.
early. I'm gonna be here for a while, embarrass myself, and then when you know what I mean? Once I feel okay, after I've been moonlighting, then I'll fucking do it in front of people.
Yeah, man, just me and you will go for a little bit.
Yeah, dude. Get the keys to the gym for a while because I'm
Get
embarrassed.
the keys for the gym.
That reminds me
Um,
of like when people I've asked me to go golfing with them. It's like I have to do it alone because I'm not any good. So I can't go out there and start swinging in front of people that are too legit.
Golf is a sport, man. Golf is like golfing. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, it just got weird for a second.
Okay, cool. Um, Golf is a weird sport. It's just I I remember in middle school I played a ton of basketball. I think you did too. We would hit the courts quite a bit.
We used to fuck around, yeah, but you were pretty
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
we used to play basketball quite a bit. I've done a bunch of sports growing up, but golf has always been one to me. My experience, I think, is best described through like a movie like Happy Gilmore. Right? He
That's
says
your thoughts on golf?
golf is for people with goofy pants and a fat ass. That's what he
Yeah.
said.
I have neither of those, dude. I'm shaped like a funnel and I wear shorts a lot.
I mean, I
No,
think that works out pretty good
yeah.
for
But dude,
golf. Yeah.
no, but yeah, so you train with a lot of those guys and you started going there from taking pictures of the fights. That's how you linked up with a lot of those guys, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of weird how my career and how that kind of intersected. So I initially got kind of connected to the fight game exactly right through shooting Adam's fights for him. Um, they have dedicated photographers at those matches at the various arenas or promotions that they're using. They do have dedicated photographers, but Adam wanted kind of his own personal photographer backstage for the warm ups, for the walkout. I kind of shot like documentary style content for him in the fights.
Yeah.
And did that for probably, I want to say 7, 8, 9 of his fights I did. Um, Loved doing that. And then I started doing a little bit more within like the tactical space, like firearms and stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of the same guys that fight do a lot of tactical training as well.
Yeah, dude.
Um,
Because of you
so,
guys, I started following that Rogue Methods, dude.
oh, Raul, shout out to
Yeah.
Raul and Rogue Methods. Yeah, that
That shit
guy's
is so
cool.
cool.
That guy, and he actually trains out of Elite U as well. And he runs his own training company, Rogue Methods. And I've trained and shot for him as well. But he does a lot of really interesting, like hand-to-hand, like close work, like hand-to-hand combat. He does a lot of traditional firearms training too, but it's very different than anything else I've ever experienced. Raul's the man. But that was like a connection I made with Raul. Um, I shot one of his events and training classes, and so I just kind of ended up making these connections through these various organizations that I would shoot for. And there was just really cool dudes involved. And they would kind of recommend me to the next person. And I ended up shooting somebody else's content. And it just so happens that all of us ended up becoming friends and training out of that gym.
Yeah, that's dope. It's like super organic that way.
It was. It was.
So
And
would you
people
say
continue
like
to join.
you shoot a lot of different things I noticed on your page. It's like, you have like action shots of like trucks or like kind of like a I don't know what all the words are for like the styles of shots you take, but sometimes they're like a house or a person or whatever. Do you have like a favorite kind of thing to shoot? Or do you like
Honestly,
taking pictures versus videos? Like what's the deal?
I do, man. So I do both. Yeah, I do videography and photography both. I think that through my career, I've shot a ton of different types of subject matter. Um, I think honestly though, my favorite things to shoot involve people, right? Because I really like capturing these moments of like intense emotion or the full spectrum of like human emotion. So when I can shoot portraits of somebody, whether it's them during a fight or them during an engagement session, or so shooting photos that involve people are some of my favorite.
Yeah, for sure. That's dope.
I've shot tons of stuff for, involving Harleys and motorcycles. I do some landscape and like artistic work as well when I travel. Um, but and sports also. Sports is another big part of my portfolio. Boxing, um, all the tactical training stuff. So I guess it sounds when I say this back to myself, it sounds like I'm like, oh, I just shoot everything.
Yeah.
I just shoot everything. But capturing people in their environment, doing something they love to do, or in a vulnerable moment
So
is
like
probably my
you love
favorite
look like maybe the emotions that go into it. Like if you can
for
capture
sure.
the emotion part, yeah. Yeah, I noticed some really cool stuff. And then you said like you've done people's weddings. That'd probably be one of my favorite thing to do. Someone's wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weddings are interesting because I do like
High pressure,
all
maybe. That's a lot of pressure.
it's definitely a little bit more stressful. I think that honestly, man, you show up and you're given a schedule. Sometimes it's like 2 pages long of all the events that are going to be occurring. And most of the time, what's interesting about my experience is most of the time with wedding photography, it's a group of like 3 or 4 people, right? Like they usually spend 10, 12 grand on a photography package. Um, a lot of the weddings I've done have been more intimate, a little bit smaller, and it's either just me or me and one other person.
So like
And so
small
I'm
team,
in,
you know.
yeah, small team, so I can keep it light. I'm involved in the entire day from like getting the rings and taking photos of the rings to capturing like the actual ceremony. But to your point, the thing I do like about weddings is that it's super raw and emotional for sure.
Yeah.
Especially when you see like the first look with the father and the bride, right? Like when they come
Yeah.
out in the dress, when that bride first hits that walk coming to the altar and you see the husband's face. Like that kind of emotion is always cool to
Yeah, that
capture.
is dope. And there's so many different people there, so many different people watching, right? You can try like,
Yeah.
oh, there's the ring girl, there's the so and so. That's dope. Yeah. Hell yeah.
But
Have you ever?
one of the coolest things though, this might be kind of odd, but one of the coolest things to shoot um is actually like protests or rallies.
Oh shit.
So I've had the opportunity to shoot several here in Phoenix, especially involving Trump or like the election, and those things get super intense,
Are you
really
out there
intense.
rage baiting people to get good pictures or no?
No, no, man. I let it happen organically, even though that would be kind of fun to do because it wouldn't be hard.
You're
You
all
know what I'm
switching
talking
hats
about.
on them and shit, depending who's
Oh
walking up to you.
man.
Like,
Oh, if I could walk through a crowd of people with that red hat and just snap their faces as I go by and get some amazing shots
yeah.
and get some amazing stuff. But protests and demonstrations or politically charged things, or when I was younger, I actually wanted to be a photojournalist and deployed to different combat zones. That
Oh,
was my
nice.
goal early on. I wanted to go overseas and like go see combat and photograph combat zones.
Yeah.
Um,
That'd be
I
nuts.
would, I would still consider it, but getting married and looking to have a family of my own, I probably can't do that.
You got to pump the brakes on that.
Got to pump the brakes on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's plenty of cool stuff around here that doesn't involve me getting shot at potentially.
It's funny. So if someone wanted to book you for your services on that, well, how do they do it? Just hit you up on Instagram or what's the move?
Yeah. So you can probably the two easiest ways. So you can visit Kinetic Forge Productions on Instagram and directly contact me there. I also have a website which is under my main umbrella, which is sidesimagery.com. Um, and I do have a contact request form, so you can put your project details in there and book me that way also.
Cool.
And I'm pretty open to honestly most types of projects. Sometimes the weirder the better, but I do a ton of portrait work. I do a lot of events and weddings, like you said.
Hell yeah. Who's gonna do your wedding?
So it's weird. It's funny being a photographer and going into my own wedding because I'm like, oh, maybe I can find a way to do it myself somehow. Like
That's what
maybe
you're thinking of?
there's moments I can like jump out and shoot photos too. I got a good buddy of mine who I've kind of mentored who is going to shoot, and then another one of my friends, Austin. So a couple guys that I trust that'll
Cool.
be there to shoot the wedding. So they're
Cool.
good. I
No,
trust them with it.
no pressure on those guys. Shit.
Oh man. And honestly, don't even edit the photos, dude. Like just send me the raw photos. I'll edit
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm like, just let me do it.
Yeah. Do you enjoy doing the edits and stuff on that?
I do. Yeah. I think the one of my favorite parts is the post-production process. Um, that's when you really tell, capturing the images is just kind of one part of that story that you want to tell. But once you get into post-production, that's when you apply like how the photo is going to make somebody feel, right? So you get into the coloring of the photo, the color grading of the photo, the lights and the darks. Um, it really starts to make, and that's kind of our brains are wired when we see certain colors in combination, it gives us a certain feeling or a certain reaction. And so a lot of the things that I shoot, I'm always going for kind of this nostalgic feel when I edit my photos. I want them to feel like a memory. I know that's super vague and like,
No, I hear
but
you though. Like some sort
I
of whiskey dream feeling, but not. Yeah, because when you're doing the edits, you want to like send a message, but not too obviously, like not too right in their face with it. You want to put it like some
right,
nuance and yeah, yeah,
right. There's definitely nuance involved, and I've definitely I think the progression as a photographer is when you first start, you're really heavy with all your editing. Like you make everything super contrasty or really colorful, or but then as you get more experience and you start to understand and observe other people's work that are really good, and that honestly being a good photographer, I think 50% of that is like observing other talented photographers and like taking inspiration, right? one I suggest you follow. His name's Peter McKinnon, but he grew up very similar to like how we did, skateboarding and running all over town and kind of like, um, but he's one of the best photographers in the world right now. And so I follow all these different artists and look at what they're doing and how they're kind of conveying the story they want to tell and the colors they use. And I'll just take little bits of inspiration from
Yeah,
different
that's
places I
smart.
like.
That's smart because some people get all in their head like they're the best, and they get like in a vacuum where they think like their style is the only style, you know?
Yeah,
So it's important to
absolutely.
keep, you have to like still be a fan of other people and shit. So that's
Hey,
dope,
let
dude.
me ask you that question. What is with the podcast, like is there anybody that you listen to or who inspired you with your show?
I like Sam Tripoli. He's like
Sam
a
Tripoli?
conspiracy guy. He's really funny. You
I
know,
like
Joe
that.
Rogan's always funny and cool. Like,
Yeah.
has a lot of cool different guests. Um, I'm trying to think of some of the other smaller ones. My favorite one ever is this one called 10 Minute Podcast. Have you ever heard that?
I've heard of it. I haven't really listened to it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's like it's not around anymore, but it used to be Will Sasso, Brian Callen, and Chris D'Elia, and they did a 10-minute podcast where it
That's
was you
cool.
weren't allowed to go over 10 minutes. So no matter who's talking, they would just cut it off at 10 minutes. And they had like this like outro music. So even if you're making a good
I
point, they're
love
like,
that.
"Well, that's the show. See you later." Blah blah blah, and just end it. It's so fucking funny,
A
dude.
hard
So
end at 10 minutes, no matter what.
yeah, hard out. It was funny. So that kind of shit. Yeah, that's probably the like that. That's probably what made me like want to start. I did one back in the day with my buddies, and it just fizzled out, you know. But I was like, I got to do my own and see if I can put something out and like see if people fuck with it.
Dude, I think honestly, in watching your progression in this space and like watching your shows, your episodes, and uh, I think you do a really good job. And I think about like Joe Rogan, like you do a really good job posing questions and like giving the guests room to talk about stuff,
Oh yeah,
right? Like you actually put them in a place where like they're comfortable to talk about what they know. Um, and that's what makes it interesting, right? Because like your story is interesting too. I don't know when you're gonna just do an episode on your past because you had
yeah.
an
I have
interesting,
to hold your
yeah,
thought.
you
I'm gonna
should.
pause this.
That I think was great.
Yeah, yeah. That shit was cool. Yeah, before we hit the the technical difficulties, you were saying nice stuff about my show, but whatever. If you want to go back to that, we could do that. I got more
I
questions.
mean, you've been doing great with the show, and like I've seen steady growth, like organic growth happening through your channel. Like you continue to have on some really interesting people, not only people I know, but other artists and like people that have special skill sets that specialize in things that are interesting. And
Yeah,
I think that's what's cool is you bring on stuff that's interesting to you too.
yeah.
You're
I've
not
been
just
getting
like,
lucky
oh,
too. I've been getting lucky. Some of those people I thought they were gonna say no, like my show wouldn't necessarily help their brand or anything yet, you know. So I thought they'd be like, no, I'm good, or just ignore me. But some people were like, yo, I fuck with it. Like I like this episode. I'm coming on. So I'm like super grateful because it's like I've been super lucky with that.
I think that's going to continue to be the thing for you because and I think that's what people like so much about Joe Rogan is that he's very grounded in the way he talks to people. It's not like this highly scripted, overproduced thing. Like it's just people having a conversation, and he lets them talk about their expertise and asks interesting questions. And I think that's what uh, really makes people gravitate to podcasts like that. And I think
Yeah.
that your show has that. That you
Yeah, I've
do
been
that.
trying to keep it like that. Like, I've been trying to like only ask questions that I think are okay and not like push on weird shit or whatever, like let them talk. It's kind of like a weird thing to try to get good at because I don't know what I'm doing, but I like talking to people, so that's like kind of the whole thing. Like that's why I
Yeah,
started. You know what I mean? Like I like poking around in people's brains and interest and shit, but yeah, it's been like I've had some people clam up, you know, I wasn't expecting that. I've had some people where I think they're gonna like go crazy on here and then they just clam up. Or like
really.
yeah, they're like ice cold for a while, and then we get like an hour in, and they're like, "All right, cool, they're loose, they're good." So I've learned
Yeah.
like we gotta kind of wait and see what kind of person they are for a while too. If I don't know them, you know, some of the people I don't know, I've only found them like in the world because I thought they were doing cool shit.
What's been like the most intense show you've had?
Um, I
Or
had
like
this.
that was maybe most nerve-wracking for you or made you nervous, maybe.
Oh, I had like some comedians and stuff that I like. Again, I thought they were gonna say no because they're like super good and super known out here. And when they came on, I was like, "Hey, I'm nervous to like not disrespect your craft or whatever." And he's like, "What the? What are you nervous about?" I'm like, "I don't know. I didn't even think you were coming on for real." And he's like, "All right, you know." So
It's all right.
that
You're right. You're actually funny too. You should consider that. You ever consider comedy?
no, because it's a whole different muscle. I think like I'm only funny because people are expecting me to be mean. I think like they're expecting me to be a dick, and then I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna say this," and they're like, "Okay, that was funny." But like if you're doing stand up, everyone there is like wanting to laugh.
The
They came to watch a
expectation.
laugh.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to show up and like be crazy funny right away, or else they like write you off. You know,
I don't
like I
know,
don't know
man.
how to
I
do
think
that one.
I think you have uh, if you just turned it from like riffing off of what people say into writing your own material, I think you could do it.
Yeah, that'd be dope to try, but I don't know. It's never been something I always respect those guys, but I don't think like I could do it. You know, I'm like, oh shit, like it's like watching basketball or sports or whatever. Like that was a
Right.
crazy crossover. It doesn't mean I'm gonna get out there anytime soon. Like, and plus, it's like one of those things where some people have a lot of time put in.
Oh, for that and that the comedy circuit and like trying to, man, it sounds like from what I've heard, it's a grueling experience, and then it people just tend to get to have that lightning strike, right? Like they get on the Joe Rogan podcast because they've had a good run or they've had a good special, and then they blow up from there. But I think most comedians spend years like in tiny bars in shitty little clubs, like for years and years and years before
Yeah,
they have that moment, that virality. Um, and social media has changed that a lot. And social media has changed everything for photography and artists too. Like it's just completely changed how you go about your craft. Like it's
yeah,
changed everything.
yeah. Marketing yourself and shit too. Some people
Yeah,
are
and I'm
really good
sure
at
you've had
that.
to figure that out too.
Some people are really good at that, and it's like I always have to like change my mind to be like, oh, I recorded the show today. Now I got to edit it. So now I have to play like editor guy. And then like, oh yeah, I have
Yeah,
to make a clip.
multiple hats.
The thing I suck at is like captions and making things like interesting in the captions. Like when people like see a post or something, like they're looking at it, they're watching it, and then they're reading it. Like that whole first 2 seconds, like I don't know how to make them good for people to stay, you know?
And I feel so the big thing, so this is interesting. We haven't really talked about this, but so I run my own business and photography and media, but uh, I also am in marketing. So I've been in marketing for like over a decade with a few different organizations. Um, right now, I run a media department within a marketing team for a company here in Arizona, but digital marketing is where I've spent most of my time, and it's social media is really interesting because I think that there's all these when the algorithm changes for different platforms, you have to kind of adjust your strategy. And for Instagram right now, one of the big things is the hook, right? That's what everybody talks about is the hook, which is like the first couple seconds somebody sees your post.
Yeah.
How do you get their attention and want them to stay to watch a video or to read your post? And usually it's like some kind of tagline or some kind of question that you might put in like the thumbnail or
Yeah.
like in the caption. That's like, what did this person say? Or
Yeah.
this guest said something insane or something like some
Right.
generic kind of broad thing. And if you pair that with like an interesting image or like a from the show of people, you guys laughing or whatever, like that kind of thing can draw interest and then people will be like, oh, I want to find out what was so fun. I want
Yeah.
to find out what was so interesting that he said.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm learning
Just
that
weird stuff
stuff.
like that.
I had to watch videos and like read stuff where it's like how important a thumbnail is on YouTube. Like make
Yeah,
sure the people are like clearly, defined or outlined, and then make sure like it matches what the caption is. Make sure it matches like whatever you said in the caption should be in the thumbnail. Or else like you're gonna lose
right,
a big group of people that are like, hey, you're bullshitting me already. I don't want that.
right.
I'm like, damn, I didn't even think of that. I'm just putting us on there and saying whatever, but it all matters, and I'm learning like every step of the way fucking matters.
There's so many parts of it that come together to make it uh, work well within the algorithm. Whatever platform you're using, YouTube and Instagram where you primarily use it or post
Yeah,
your
like I'm trying to get them all up and going like smooth, but like the way my brain works is like I have to try to learn each one. Like, oh, what does Twitter want? I mean, what does X want? You know, they want kind of
yeah,
one thing, and then YouTube wants like another, like more like cartoonish vibe where it's like, here's a wacky, colorful thumbnail with a, like you said,
yeah,
like a funny hook or interesting thing. And it's just hard for me because like my show isn't like that. My show isn't clickbait or rage bait or I'm not gonna
right.
gotcha. I'm not gonna get you with the weird question and then corner you. So like I don't really have that kind of content for me to like jump in that lane. So my lane is like, hey, if you're a grown adult and you want to chop it up over here, come on over. Like my group of
I like
people
that.
when it shows me my info, it's like there's some young people, but it's usually like 25 to 44 and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
So
that
I'm not.
and I think you're gonna have more the way you're approaching it now, even though it feels sometimes like a slow or maybe a grind, is that your audience will be sustainable though. Because the people that build an audience on clickbait, rage bait, they can build an audience really rapidly, but eventually they know that they've been tricked and they get pissed. They're like, fuck, this guy doesn't post any of the content. It's not honest. Like the
Yeah,
thumbnail is always a lie, and like they don't. So they eventually end up following or tuning out.
yeah,
So even though the way that you're doing it now feels like it's a steady climb instead of like this virality shot, it'll be much more sustainable if you as you keep going. Like your
yeah,
audience will stay consistently tuned in rather than being like, oh man, he's now all of a sudden he's doing clickbait thumbnails and I hate that. Unsubscribe.
yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's kind of been my thought too. Like even if I'm doing it like not perfect right now, where I'm getting like the engagement or whatever, at least if when people do discover what I'm got going on, they could go back and find like a catalog of cool episodes. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
right.
if you do end up finding it and liking
100%.
it, I promise you they all have the same kind of good intent and they're kind of doing the same vibe all the way through. Like I'm only finding people that are badass. So
Yeah, they have an interesting story or something interesting to say.
yeah,
Those kind of people.
like when you asked me like what was an intense episode, I was gonna say one, but then you said like what was I nervous about? The like the one that came to mind when you said intense was I had a guy that I used to work with that switched careers and became like an EMS guy, like first responder ambulance guy. And he talked about going all through the stages of that, like being like what is it called? Like EMS, and then there's like he broke it down on the show, like all the stages up to the like being a fucking doctor basically, like an ER doctor, and then
Yeah.
everything that you're allowed to do through the steps. Like this person could administer medicine, this person could up the medicine, blah blah blah. And he was on the show talking about like some pretty intense calls that he went on.
Oh, I can't even imagine, dude.
Yeah.
That job.
The
But
worst one,
especially at EMS.
the worst one that I'm trying to make a clip of it. This was like early in the video part of the show, so I wasn't good at most of the clips or anything, and I'm still not. You know what I mean? But I didn't know any of the like anything about getting a template or anything and cheating and getting a good clip. So I tried to clip it up, but it was like he told a story where he they got a call on a guy that had left a cock ring on for like all for like 24 hours. So by the time they got to him, it was like black,
Oh, it
like
cut off the
no
circulation.
circulation, and it was like rock hard, like dead.
Dude.
So he told that
That
story,
is
and it's like it's crazy. Like what? Like it's like even if you're not from that world, like of a cock ring world, you're still like you had to see that, and he's like, yeah, I had to go pull up, and I guess the guy was kind of like keeping it a secret because there was female EMTs or whatever. So when the guys showed up, when him and his buddy showed
man.
up, he was like, "Hey, here's the real deal," and like showed him what was going on. And that
Yeah,
was,
your cock's gonna fall off. Is probably
yeah,
what he was
dude. That was
told.
so. That was like for me, that was intense to listen to. I'm like, what? And then you got to keep, if you're the professional there, you got to make sure he's like in the best condition from here on out. So you got to like figure it out, even if the
Right.
call's weird, you know.
That's unreal, man. Yeah,
So I've had some good stuff on my show. We just, we haven't gotten all the eyeballs we need yet, but there's some good stories on my show.
You
if you
will,
know where
man.
he was.
Mark my words, you
But yeah,
absolutely will.
this
Yeah.
has been one of my favorite ones so far, though, because it had a little nostalgia to it.
Nostalgia is a weird thing. It's I'll quote it wrong, but there's a show called Mad Men, and he has a really famous scene where he goes through some old photos when he's selling a product of like a slideshow projector, and he's going through his wedding photos and he's describing nostalgia, and it's like this uh, pain or like an echo from the past and the pain to want to return to that time,
Fire.
right? You think about that place and you get this yearning, this like familiar ache to want to go back to this place or
Mhm.
like memory that you had,
It's like the reason a
right?
motherfucker wants to build a time machine.
That's exactly what would motivate a motherfucker to build a
Yeah,
time
like it
machine.
hurts. It hurts so bad. I want to relive it again.
Yep. It
Yeah,
could be just a few minutes with, a family member or a place where everything felt like it was perfect or in place and you the perfect day, whatever it was. Yeah.
yeah,
Eventually somebody's going to use that as fuel to make a time machine if they don't have them already,
yeah,
which they might have them already.
yeah, dude. I seen this thing where they were talking about like it will be like the closest thing to a time machine. Taking all the stuff that's around now. In the future, they're gonna build like some cool VR where someone would like be able to VR sit in this interview, like our grandkids or some shit.
That would be wild.
Like had we shot this on a 3D camera or something, they could just VR relive this memory. Like it's as close as we're gonna get to time machine shit with what we got right now. And it's like almost there. You could feel it. It's like right there.
It's almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They
almost
just got
there.
to figure out like the scent, the smells, or some other tactile thing that goes with it, and it'll feel
To make
super
you
real.
really feel like you're there. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of nostalgia, building memories, dude, let me ask you before I get you out of here, let me ask you, how are you feeling about how are you feeling before your wedding? It's like a week ahead, a week before. How are you
Yeah,
feeling? You're probably nervous, all yada yada, but what do you got?
it's it's really an interesting experience. And I think when you the whole thing, right? Starting with asking somebody to marry you, asking a woman to marry you is like I wanted to have like the perfect ring and I wanted it to be different. I spent all this time like agonizing over the perfect one and um but it feels like when you find the right person that you're never going to be able to do enough to like get that right because you're like they're worth so much more, but
Yeah.
hopefully this will be enough,
Yeah.
right? Luckily, I have my fiance is incredibly gracious and just loves me for me. So it wasn't just about the ring or the size,
Yeah.
or it was about that. It was that moment with me, and now
Yeah.
that I'm going to be your husband. But
Which makes her the kind of person where you want to give her everything you can.
yeah,
Because she's
exactly.
already super grateful. So you're like, all right, I gotta go
That's
as hard
right.
as I yeah.
That's right. The
It's like a
more
vicious cycle already.
it is, and she talks about that. She's like, we pour more love into each other, and it's like,
You pour love into each other.
yeah, you pour love into each other. It sounds corny, but it's true. And it's like a reciprocal thing. Then the more you invest into your partner or somebody else and their happiness, the more it comes back, right?
Yeah.
It goes full circle. So we got engaged and we decided um, we were going to wait about a year to actually have the ceremony and to get married, but we decided to expedite that. So it's just been a few months after the engagement,
Hell
and
yeah.
we're gonna get married out here at the Superstition Mountains.
Very
There's a
cool.
chapel there. Um, I'm nervous, but nervous more for just making sure that I get things right. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, like the good
She's
kind of
perfect. She
nerves.
does everything right. I don't
Yeah.
do everything right. So I'm like,
You're like, if anyone's gonna fuck something up, it's me.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Whether it's my attitude or fucking, traumas from the past or things I've been through.
Yeah.
Um, and we've all been through that because you're married. Are you married?
Yeah. Been
How long
married
have you been married?
for we've been together for like almost 20 years. We've been married for 13, 14, something years. 12, 13, 14. It's a long time. I gotta
I'll,
look at the logs. I gotta look at the
that's
paperwork.
awesome, man.
Yeah,
So you
dude.
guys were like school sweethearts, like high school sweethearts,
Right after high school.
right after high school.
Yeah.
That's
We met
awesome,
at
bro.
work. we met at work, and we had some classes in high school, but we didn't know each other in high school, and we met at work, like one of our first jobs or whatever together. We happened to be working together, like as teenagers and shit. So
That's so wild. And then you guys have been together ever since. And you have
yeah,
how many kids together?
we got two.
Two. That's
Yeah.
awesome, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, dude. I was gonna give you some advice after you said how you were feeling. You kind of already hit on something I was gonna say though when you said like pour into each other, and then you're still gonna get the return on that, even if it's like whoever's winning in that time in life. My wife and I have had that motto. Like, if there was like a time when like the kids are small, and she's having to stay home with the kids, then it was my turn to go crazy at work. Pursue whatever career I'm after. And then when she was done doing that side of the thing. The kids are older now, It's like now she can pursue whatever she's after, and I'm can be like supporting class. So it's one
That's
of those
awesome that
things
you
where
guys
it's
have it
like
worked out.
always remind yourself that you guys are on the same team. Like their victories are yours and their losses are yours. Like it's the same team every time. Don't forget that. Sometimes you might lose sight of that, and one of you guys will hate on each other. Like, oh, what are you fucking so happy about? And if you forget that it's like, hey, this is
We're all on the
all,
same team.
yeah. It's easy
Yep.
to forget sometimes, especially, and it's like, you guys will be real close and spend a lot of time together. So you're bound to fight and argue. Just remind yourself you're always going to be bitching up at the end and want to say sorry. Like you're going to be the guy being like, hey, I'm sorry. You're going to do that. Remind yourself. So don't say anything you don't fucking
Absolutely.
mean. Don't take it too far because you're going to regret what you said, you know?
That's good advice, man. That's really good advice. And I'm super fortunate because we get along super well, but even when we have a little bit of, I wouldn't even say conflict, but when we do, we communicate super well. And I think that's what prevents us from getting to full-blown conflict often,
Mhm.
or ever, is like we recognize when things are starting to go a certain way. Um, Whether I'm super burnt out from work or tired, or I've had something go on and like I'm being moody or whatever it is, like we're very honest with each other. And and she's gonna hold me accountable though.
Yeah.
She's gonna be like, hey, you're being like, what happened at work? You're being moody as fuck right now. Like, what's
Yeah.
going
You
on?
got a
Like,
couple hours of more moody shit and then fucking get ready,
yeah,
right? You got to like
exactly.
let it
Turn that
go. Leave
off.
work at work. Yeah.
That's right. And that's always been, some days are easier than others, and I'm sure you know this, but like when you spend all day at work and you're dealing with various challenges there, sometimes it can be um, hard to turn that off when you hit the door. Like you do everything you can to like kind of shift that. And honestly, for me, the gym has helped a ton with that, working out and being active in the training.
Yeah.
That gives me some time to exert physically and like kind of reset. But there are some days it's not that easy, and she's great at reading me and knowing when I might need
Yeah.
a little bit
That's
more
good.
love from her because of that.
That's good. Well, shout out
But
to
I'm
her
super
for,
happy for you and your wife.
yeah, shout out to her, to your fiance though, for taking the time to understand you too. That's going to take you guys a long way too, where it's like a mutual thing where it's like, I'm working to know how you work, what makes you tick, and
Right.
then like,
That's exactly what it is too.
it's like it's like a project of yours too, to understand what's going on in their mind best you can. It's hard to predict what they're going to be feeling and thinking, but after you know someone for a lot of years, like you can almost set your watch to it. Like, oh, it's a
That's right.
Monday. What's up? I gotta
Yeah, I
kiss
know what
ass
challenge
today.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That reminds me, you're gonna have to come to the ceremony now.
Oh yeah, dude. I worked up an invite. Nice.
Dude, I didn't even think about it, and that was incredibly rude. You gotta come. It's on the
No,
10th.
no, you're not rude. Like you said, we haven't seen each other for a while and shit. We talk and stuff, but we don't hang out too much. But I will say, my wife and I are awesome wedding guests.
Can
After
you,
all these years, we've been to a bunch.
I imagine. So you have to come.
We
Eric will
got the
be
etiquette
there.
down. We don't get slosh drunk. And some weddings are like, oh, it's like a drinking thing. We keep it smooth. You know what I mean? We got the Ubers
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff. We're good.
that's perfect. So you guys have to be there. I think you'll have a great time.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
dude.
Dude, and if we get the chance, and if I'm deemed to be a good enough episode, then next time I'm gonna come into to your studio.
Yeah, dude. Open door. You're welcome to come over.
Yes.
Sometimes on the show, it's like I do the stoner thing, but I've had episodes where the guest doesn't smoke, or they have like like a kid-friendly fan base. You know, like Adam Stewart, he's like an idol to kids. You know, people look up to that guy.
How about
So
a
you know,
cigar? Can I come with a cigar?
we could do cigars. Like I'm saying, it could be like a total
That would
like
be cool.
tailored to you episode.
That would be awesome, man. I'd love to come see the studio and kind of where the magic happens and
I need help
spend some
too.
time
I
with them.
usually bring on guys like you that are creators and stuff. You know, I put up the lights myself. I don't know if they're in the right spot and shit like that. So I like getting advice from people.
Dude, I can totally check out the space and if we can optimize your lighting a little bit, dude, of
Yeah.
course.
It's
Whatever I
been
can do to
brutal
help,
trying to
man.
figure it out on my own, but
Well, again, you're doing a super, I mean, starting up a podcast that's the thing is anybody can do it technically now, but having a good cadence, being a good host, and like consistently putting out interesting episodes and being committed to that quality is where all the podcasts die.
yep. I've heard that
Right?
too. They say there's a bunch of podcasts, but they all have less than like 10 episodes.
They all fall off. It just people realize it's not as easy as they thought, and guests can be difficult to find or they're not great talking on a
Yeah.
podcast. I produced a podcast for a company years ago and was the editor for one for a while, and it was a corporate podcast, and I remember I wanted to stab my ears out.
Yeah. That's
Dude,
probably
it
brutal.
was, oh
Talk
man.
about numbers and shit.
Yeah, this was for product management was the field that it was in. And like they would have various CMOs or CEOs or VPs and like those types of podcasts are needed for like professional development, but sitting through and listening to them a lot of times is super hard to do.
Yeah, that's
It's just
brutal.
not interesting. It's just
Yeah,
not.
that's hard. Yeah.
But
Well,
you,
that's
my friend, have a dope show.
I'm trying,
So,
man. Thanks, dude. If you know any guests that might want to come on or that, you know, people that have stories and stuff, like hook me up with people. I'm gonna try to
dude, I
keep
would
spreading
love
out.
I would love for Dan Moret, Hitman Dan from the UFC to come on your show.
That would hook me up big time. People would think I'm legit if I, you know what I mean, if I had him on.
Dude, UFC Bellator experience, tactical. That guy trains everything.
I'd have
He's
to
a
get tight with the
really good
questions
dude.
though. I'd have to make sure I respect his time.
Dude, I think you do a quick run through of like his history, like some of his good fights and maybe ask him about some of those because that guy's got some
Scraps.
crazy scraps. Dude, Dan doesn't he's like Adam that as well. Like they're not slow fighters. They don't wrestle a ton. Dan didn't wrestle. Dan's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, but he doesn't. That dude scraps. He likes to
Yeah.
be on the feet. He likes to bang it out, and he's got some impressive knockouts and some really cool highlights from his days there, and a great trainer too. So he'll give you a ton of interesting stories, man.
Yeah, dude. Well, ask him if he says yes. Maybe you can help me with the questions
Absolutely,
and
man.
then we'll
It'd be
make it
my pleasure,
happen.
dude.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Well, thanks for coming on, dude. Tell people one more time, like what's your way to find you? That way I'll put it in the show.
Cool, man. Yeah, so I do photography and videography. You can find me at Kinetic Forge _ productions on Instagram, uh, or at sidesimagery.com, which is the parent site. And you can submit requests there if you need some photography or videography work done. I work with um, private clients, but I also work within the business sector as well for a bunch of different industries. So whether it's some portrait work or you've got a series of training videos you need done, gonna work through all that.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, thanks again for coming on, man. Have a good rest of your night. Say
You as
thanks to
well,
your
man.
lady for giving us some time.
I will.
Time with
She's
you.
been
You know,
right.
you guys are probably
She's been
busy
right
doing
here.
some.
She enjoyed it.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Well, thank you. I'll say thank you myself. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you
Give you a
again, man.
thumbs up.
Cool.
See you, man. Thank
See
you.
ya.